Welcome to the clubhouse. Welcome to the first kickoff to the Newark People's Assembly. My name is Malkia King, representing the mayor's office. On behalf of the mayor's office and on behalf of the city, we thank you for coming out this morning and getting involved, trying to move this city forward with your participation. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge and bring up Councilwoman LaMonica McIver. Give a round of applause. She's doing a great job thus far. LaMonica, thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Malkia. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. I'm excited about this kickoff, excited about starting this new initiative. I am a big supporter and advocate all the time when I'm doing my community meetings about residents getting involved in the city of Newark, the growth, especially here in the Central Ward. We need you. We need you. We need you to get involved. We need you to take part of the things that are happening. We need your input. The only way to really move forward is to move forward with you being a part of the team. So definitely today is the day. Sign up. All these wonderful people up here, our department heads, get to know faces, get to know names, and I'm looking forward to this great time for us launching this initiative. Thank you, Andrea, to our honorable mayor who's walking in any second. Thank you for doing this and sponsoring this initiative because it's very important for us here in the city of Newark. Thank you and have a blessed day.
Thank you, LaMonica, Councilwoman McIver. Next, I'm going to bring on Andrea Mason, who is the senior manager for this project. The Newark People's Assembly is very important, and Ms. Mason has been working very hard and diligent along with Ms. Levita James to make this thing happen. This is the first kickoff of many other meetings that's to come. So without further ado, please welcome Andrea Mason. Thank you very much, Andrea. She's worked hard putting this thing together.
So I have my notes. Good morning, everyone. I've been given the tall task of leading this new initiative that the mayor has called Newark People's Assembly. And luckily, with the help of my assistant, Levita Johnson, we will make that happen. The purpose of the Newark People's Assembly is really to bridge the gap in communication between the City Hall and the community. It is extremely important for everyone here to register and be a part of this initiative. So as we keep suggesting, please be sure to sign those registration forms in your chairs. Those will also serve as your sign-in sheets. Our focus for this office is to aid in making City Hall more transparent. We are focusing on the mayor's vision, which is also to be the voice of the people. We need and want each organization, small business, nonprofit, block and neighborhood association to be more engaged and involved. The Newark People's Assembly will share information from all agencies within City Hall and its departments that impact quality of life. We are attempting to be more proactive rather than reactive and want your input. I didn't actually pass out the sheet that gives the goals and the purpose, but I'll just go over briefly some of the identified goals. And if you didn't get one when you walked in, there was a small table right by the door, and it had something called the constituent intake form. So we have up here the departments represented within the city of Newark. And if you're not able to get your question answered or asked today, fill that out and I'll be sure to get back to you with an answer. So the goal of Newark People's Assembly, as I stated, is to get residents involved, encouraging individuals to participate in organizations, to communicate efficiently and effectively and regularly with the community about the happenings in the city of Newark. My goal is to share information from all the city departments and agencies within the city of Newark that affect the residents directly. We must be proactive in our approach of information sharing to avoid those complaints about the community not knowing. Organizing organizations to be effective within the community is also the mayor's primary vision for Newark People's Assembly. So at this time, since the mayor hasn't walked in yet, can I just get a show of hands of how many individuals are representing organizations, whether it be nonprofit, community-based, block association, neighborhood associations? Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for coming out. And also, how many of those individuals that raised your hand received the mayor's letter in the mail inviting you to this meeting? Okay. All right. Appreciate it. How many received my email? Yay! Wonderful. So, at this time, come on, Mayor, come on in. There he is, right on time. So, because it is the mayor's vision, and I don't want to steal too much more of his thunder, since he is walking in right on time, I'm going to ask him, the leader of this great city and the visionary behind Newark People's Assembly, to come in and actually speak about Newark People's Assembly. The Honorable Mayor Raz J. Baraka.
Good morning, good morning. We really need this thing, right? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good, I'm glad everybody came out. Actually, you know, we've been talking about the People's Assembly for some time. It is not something that I created. It is, you know, something that has been around for a very long time. Myself and the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, began trying to organize something called People's Assemblies after his father, who was the mayor who passed away in Jackson. The People's Assembly idea is an opportunity to get, so it's not another organization. And that's the problem. We have so many different organizations in this city, and you know, and then people still ask you, or they come up to you and say, I want to get involved, I don't know where to go or what to do. But there's so many organizations in their neighborhood that they completely overlook those organizations, and they say, I need to figure out what to do, because they don't know about the 4 or 5 different organizations that exist on a block. First of all, they're not even in the block association. Right? So that's number one. You have to be a part of the block association, the tenant association in your building. Those are like the primary things that exist. Even if you're in a church organization or a community group or whatever it is that exists in your neighborhood. And so this People's Assembly, the word assembly means we're trying to get together. So the purpose of this is to bring all organizations together under one banner so we can begin to discuss and engage the city. We usually have community meetings, and the community meetings are people talking at the city and the city talking back at them. See, the people raising they have a long list of complaints. Then you have the city jot down those complaints, trying to handle those complaints, and sometimes they handle it good, sometimes they don't, right? And then we go back and forth about that, and we have another meeting, and then very few people come to the meeting, and less and less people, because people don't want to go to meetings that are not productive. Folks are tired of going to meetings, and the meeting turns into a shouting match or a gripe session, or one person gets up, starts acting a fool, and everybody says, I'm not coming back to that place. Right? Isn't that what happens? So especially if you're on a Saturday morning, you're doing this. I mean, this is extra time. I could be home doing something that I like. I could be shopping. I could be doing whatever. I'm spending time to come to this meeting because I'm concerned, and the meeting turns into craziness. So people don't want to be involved in stuff like that. That's why we can't get a lot of people, and we see the same people over and over and over again at all of these meetings. So I'm trying to give a platform for folks who are not just coming to the meetings over and over and over and over and over again, the same ones who got an agenda or you know some purpose of why they're being there. We need organizations to come together. And all of the organizations, we need them to come together. No matter what organization you're in, we need you to come together all over the city, right? And then we have, citywide meetings of People's Assembly, so you can see various organizations. And then the point of it is, there are going to be individuals who come to the meeting who are not in any organization, right? They're going to come because they're interested. The job of the people that are here that have organizations is to recruit the people in the organization who are not a part of anything, right? So I could come in because I'm interested. I want to know what's going on. I want to hear what's happening in the city, what's going on with garbage collection, what's going on with this, what's going on with that. I want to figure out how I can help, how I'm going to be a part of it. And then I find out there's 4 different organizations in my neighborhood. I need to get down with those guys, right? Because they're doing something. And then the people that's in organizations, we're going to give people opportunity at these meetings to say what organization you're in, so that you might be able to get 3 or 4 additional members. Matter of fact, it might be people on your block who are not in your block association who come to the meeting, which is a problem, right? That is a problem. And so we want to fix that, and this is an opportunity for us to get that addressed and to get as many people involved and engaged in the People's Assembly as possible. The last piece of it is we are trying to destroy this idea of wards, right? So we don't want to be known as the South, the West, the East, the Central, because that's not our city is not organized like that. It's organized like that politically, right? And so people who are elected officials think of the city in that way, and because we think of it, and people who want to be elected officials think of the city that way, so they push the city in that way. So, and then our kids run around saying South Ward and this ward and that ward, but they're neighborhoods, right? So if there's a meeting, so if we say there's a meeting in the West Ward, for example, I mean, the West Ward is huge, right? If I have a meeting in Roseville, that don't mean that folks from Ivy Hill are going to be able to get there because there's a great distance, right? It doesn't mean if I live in Fairmount, the folks in Fairmount are going to be able to get way up there. If I live in the Central Ward, the Central Ward, you got Belmont, it's a neighborhood, they call it Belmont 1, Belmont 2, you got Lincoln Park, that's a neighborhood in the Central Ward, you got the downtown area in the Central Ward, right? So there's different areas of the Central Ward. You got Central Ward goes over to places where people think is the North Ward, right? You go over there and people be like, oh, this is the North Ward. No, baby, it's the Central Ward. So we have to begin to talk about our community in neighborhoods. So we want to bring our neighborhoods together because I think it strengthens us. Like New York, they from Bed-Stuy, they're not just from Brooklyn, right? They from Bedford-Stuy, they from Fort Greene, they from Clinton Hill, they from East New York, they from all of these places. And that's, in Manhattan, you from Harlem, you from, all of these different places, Chelsea, the Meatpacking District, Soho. We have those neighborhoods in our city. And it benefits us because usually when people also talk about Newark, they talk about it in the whole way. And they kind of misrepresent the city. Because when you think of Newark, you think of one thing, and Newark is a very diverse place. Yes, sir. With a whole bunch of different things going on. Neighborhoods look different. I'm going to tell you, and I'm sitting down, I had an elected official with me, and we were over in the Weequahic section of the South Ward, because there's a Weequahic section of the South Ward, y'all know that. We was in the Weequahic section of the South Ward, and he said to me, wow, y'all should really advertise this part of the South Ward. People don't know this part of the South Ward exists. In my mind, I said, you should. Right? But at the end of the day, like when people say the South Ward, like I talk to other people, I ain't going to the South Ward. Like I ain't going over I live in the South Ward. They're like, I ain't going over to the South Ward. There are parts of the ward you don't even know exist. You don't even know exist because we don't deal with it as neighborhoods, and we're going to have an opportunity to treat it differently in these meetings, to start talking about our neighborhoods that exist in those wards and build the neighborhoods. Even in economic development, we're beginning to attack the city in neighborhoods, right? We're going to attack the city in terms of development and growth and business based on neighborhoods, not just based on whole wards, because we've been missing the boat by saying we go into the South Ward, and it just seems like it's difficult to get have a real impact because it's so much wide of a space instead of starting neighborhood by neighborhood by neighborhood by neighborhood. And that's what we want to do. And we want each and every neighborhood of the ward represented in the People's Assembly. So if you live in the Central Ward, we want each and every neighborhood. So you can't just come to the meeting and say, I'm from the Central Ward no more. You have to come to the meeting and say, I live in this neighborhood, and we're going to put up a map and define it so you can say, I'm from this neighborhood. And the people in that neighborhood can get together and say, we're from this neighborhood, these are the issues in our neighborhood. And these are the issues in our neighborhood, and these are the issues in our neighborhood, right? So we want to organize it in neighborhoods, make it easier for you to come together and try to deal with the issues that you have. Because sometimes we're in these meetings and somebody talking about something in your ward, and you're like, well, that doesn't apply to me, right? And so you get disinterested. That doesn't apply to me. You know, I don't live down there. Like, I don't know whatever they got going on down there doesn't apply to me over here, right? So I want you to talk about some stuff that has to do with over here, so we're going to split it up so we can begin to deal with it that way. And we are going to deal with the issues that you have. So this is not a meeting to skirt around the issues that exist in the city. We're going to deal with the hard issues. These are meetings where we can grapple those issues, handle them, debate about them, discuss them, but more importantly, to solve them. So if you didn't come to these meetings to solve problems, you're at the wrong meeting. There are a bunch of meetings that are going to be taking place in the city. You can go to those. Gripe sessions, yelling sessions, cussing sessions, all kind of things that we have. And we have a bunch of those. You can go to them and have at it. These are not these meetings. These meetings are identify the problem. How is the city and my neighborhood going to work together to address the problems that exist in my community? How do you empower me as a resident of this neighborhood to fix the problems that exist in my community? And not only just problems, how is the city going to help me bring to life what I imagine in my neighborhood? So that's different. That's different, because there's some people who are going to come and they got issues, and we're going to deal with the issues. But then we need people that's going to come and say, this is what I imagine taking place in my neighborhood. I went some other place, Mayor, and they had this thing going on. We can do that right here, right? How can I make that happen? And you got the city folks that are going to help us empower you to bring your dreams into reality in the communities that you live in. So that being said, I want to thank you. I want to thank Andrea. She's doing an awesome job putting this together. Levita is helping out in the back, and everybody see Levita, wave your hand, Levita. And there's a whole bunch of other people, all the folks that work for us. Malkia, she worked for us. Raise your hand. You got this one in the audience over here. Raise your hand over there. Actress, raise your hand. Michelle, Morgan, how you doing? But you know, there are folks that work to make this day happen. You got the councilwoman in the back. I saw her back there hiding. She's supposed to be up here somewhere. But Councilman McIver of this ward, Councilwoman McIver of this ward, we want, and so this is also an opportunity for our council colleagues to get involved in all of this stuff as well. So we want to make sure that happens. It's going to be a new day, a new opportunity. A new opportunity. So it's easier for us to get information out, right? And we already talking about it in our meetings. So when we had a People's Assembly, we don't have to run around and put flyers out. If we have 15 organizations represented in a room, in a central ward, in a People's Assembly, in different neighborhoods, we can give you the information and you can disseminate it to your respective organizations and community people, and you can be the voice of what's going on in the city, right? That's exactly, and that's the most powerful thing that we can ever create, right? So thank you. God bless. I'll be here for a minute. Hold on.
Thanks, Mayor. So you've heard from the visionary himself, and now I'm sure you guys and gals have questions. So without further ado, I'm gonna allow the individuals who are representing the different departments within City Hall and the other agencies that are represented within City. I pressed the button. So I'm gonna allow the department heads to introduce themselves, just so you'll know who you're addressing your questions to. And if for whatever reason your question is not addressed today, or you're not able to ask a question, please, outside on the table, as I mentioned a little earlier, there's something called the constituent intake form. If you can fill out that form and on your way out give it to me or one of the other staff members, I'll be sure to get back to you. Who wants to start?
Good morning, my name is Eric Adams. I grew up in the Central Ward here, and Hayes Homes was right over here. Hayes Homes will allow my seat in here. Anyway, I'm the Assistant Finance Director for the City of Newark now. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Khalif Thomas. I'm the Director of the Department of Public Works. Our department consists of sanitation services, tree services, recycling, snow removal. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Wilson. I'm the Chief Registered Environmental Health Specialist for the City of Newark. Division of Environmental Health and Department of Health and Community Wellness. And our division consists of Food and Drug Bureau, which is your local health inspectors within the neighborhoods dealing with all these stores and bodegas. We have the Childhood Lead Poisoning Program, a program that consists of lead screening and lead home abatement. We have the Vermin Control Program, which we hear a lot of complaints about rats in your neighborhood. And we have also Animal Control, which deals with animal bites and a lot of issues with stray and dead animals within your neighborhood. We do pickup service. So whatever questions that you may have, I'm here. I also, whenever I'm at a meeting, I also like to announce that I have an open door policy. I see people every day. I have business cards here and the description of what we do to pass out to everyone, and I will give my direct number so you can reach me directly. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Philip Scott. I'm the Director of the Department of Engineering. Within the department, we have 3 different divisions. The Division of Traffic and Signals, which handles the city's maintenance of its transportation network. Obviously, the traffic signals and signs, as well as we do permitting for street closures. We also have the Division of Code Enforcement, where we deal with tenant complaints. You know, if they have issues with their landlord, if their properties are not well maintained, we deal with that. And then we also have the Building Department, where we issue all of the construction permits for the city. If you have any questions, of course, with regard to any of those things, I'll be happy to answer them.
Good morning, I'm Norma Gonzalez, and I'm representing the Newark Community Economic Development Agency. Our agency works primarily with economic development. We work hand in hand with the city's Economic Development Agency. Our main responsibilities are to work with businesses coming into the city of Newark, not just in the downtown area, but throughout the city. We work with small businesses that want to start up. We also work with large businesses. We provide business individuals in the city with workshops and training for those that want to get certified to become business owners. We also provide existing businesses with programs to assist them in saving money. We have one program right now through PSE&G for all the existing companies that want to change their existing equipment that's antiquated. PSE&G is working with us, and we have a lot of other agencies, banks, financial sources that could help you maintain and help you grow your business. But most importantly, it's the business attraction, businesses that are coming into the city of Newark that not just to come in and open up a business for themselves. At the end of the day, it creates valuable jobs for our city residents. Most recently, we had 2 small businesses open up, and one, which is Taco Bell. You know, we have a lot of franchises, but this particular Taco Bell just hired 42 Newark residents, and they all started working on Thursday. And we're working, and we're also working on new businesses that are coming in that are relocating from Bergen County, Hudson County, and they're bringing job openings to the city. So it's not just the larger corporations, of course. We love M&M, Mars, opening up soon in Newark, but we deal with all large, small, and medium-sized businesses that at the end of the day help our entire city. Thank you.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony James. I am the Chief of Staff for the Law Department. Also was born in Newark, raised in Seth Boyer Projects. The Law Department consists of 4 sections. The one that we all love, the HAVE, the Municipal Prosecutor's Office. The contract section, a section that deals with the majority of the business that comes into the city. Litigation section, and the labor section, which is internal disputes amongst the city.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Director Patrick Cameron, Director of Recreation, Cultural Affairs, and Senior Services. Also, under the auspices of that, we monitor our Sun Up program, which provides healthy and nutritional meals for our young people in the summer programs, breakfast and lunch, and also wraparound services for aftercare and after-school programs for the winter seasons. We also monitor 35,000 acres of land up at our camp watershed, where we run our camp facilities every summer, providing camp opportunities for young people year-round. Today we have hiking tours that are going on today, and we'll also monitor our Pop Warner and cheer football. That's where I'm coming from today. We have competitions at Shabazz and Utterman Field, and so we have a conglomerate of organizations that rest under our purview. We have great partnerships with many people in the city of Newark, and we want to continue to try to enhance not only our recreational offerings, but providing services and being a vehicle and outlet to the residents of the city. And so we are housed also in here in one of our centers of hope, which we have 7 centers of hope throughout the city that provides a different type of atmosphere outside of recreation, where families can come and embark on programs and service delivery, and so we want to continue to keep pushing that as well. And so we're here to answer any questions that you may have. We have 5 recreational facilities throughout the city. Borland Recreation Facility, which is on South Orange Avenue, Rotunda, which is on Clifton Avenue, Bo Porter, which is on Lyons Avenue, our Hayes Park West facility, which is one of our centers of hope. Here at the clubhouse is one of our centers of hope as well. We have a centers of hope at Pennington Court, as well as West Side Park, and Leaders for Life on Lyons Avenue. And so we continue to push and move forward. We want everyone to be a part of all of our programs, especially our senior programs and our recreational programs. Thank you.
Now on to this side of the room.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Deputy Mayor Rahman Mohammed. The mayor has created a position when he was elected, which was a position, a deputy mayor responsible for full employment, which is really workforce in the city of Newark. And what we're tasked with is making sure that residents of the city of Newark get opportunities for jobs, whether it's within the city or whether it's with companies without the city. And so I oversee 4 different units in our department, which is reentry services, Newark Works, the youth department, and affirmative action, all of which has something to do with employment practices and workforce within the city of Newark. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions for me, so hopefully I'm prepared to answer it. So just shoot away.
Okay, and our Chief Officer of Sustainability just walked in right on time. So I'm gonna save Amina, who is the representative, who's so happy now that her boss walked in. Natalie, we're just introducing the departments and what you do, please.
Sounds good. Hey folks, sorry I'm a little late. Hope you had to work this morning. I did not anticipate that. This is Sophia. My name is Natalie Augusto Filione, and I serve as the city's Chief Sustainability Officer. Sustainability, what we mean by sustainability is that we're working to make the city cleaner, greener, healthier, more prepared for climate change impacts, and generally more engaged. And so offering opportunities or creating opportunities for, baby, please don't touch that. Creating opportunities for Newarkers to have opportunities in the green economy, so that as more buildings have solar on their roofs, Newarkers can be solar installers, for example. And a quick thing about what we do, I get involved in a lot of different sort of collective action opportunities, collective impact opportunities with different folks throughout the community. So an example is just yesterday, or excuse me, Thursday, there was a big conference called Believe in a Healthy Newark, and I'm part of 2 impact teams, one on food and fitness that's working to ensure that folks have access, easy access to urban agriculture opportunities, like starting a garden in a vacant lot next door to your home, for example, or the other committee that I'm part of is on healthy homes, which is about making sure that we get lead paint out of our oldest homes. We have a very old city with very old housing stock. So that's efforts that we work on. you know, a lot of stuff around energy efficiency, planting trees. It's kind of varied because sustainability is pretty varied. And my role in the city is twofold. Half of it is that I help the departments work together sort of internally to the city government. And the other half is that I serve as kind of like a first stop for folks that are interested in environmental initiatives to come through my office to then connect you with the right person in City Hall, because as I'm sure all of us has had the experience, it's very challenging to know who the right person to talk to is in a city with I don't know how many thousands of employees. And so when it comes to activities related to sustainability, I can help with that. I'm in Office B12, right next to where you can get married in the city, so I'm easy to find. And my colleague Amina here is one of 2 AmeriCorps Vistas that are supporting our office in a program called Love Your Block. So we hope to make this an annual program. It's a mini grants program, so that if you want to do something to sort of make your neighborhood more beautiful, to reduce blight, to clean up a lot in your neighborhood, you can have an opportunity to access a mini grant. So this year the focus is going to be on Upper Clinton Hill and West Side neighborhoods. Thank you, and I'll be here for questions.
So that was a perfect segue for me to make my big announcement. As of yesterday, I am officially a guardian of a catch basin. Come on, that's huge. So basically what that means, through one of the initiatives of the Sustainability Office, you can adopt a catch basin. And you know, that's basically those, what are they? The sewer grates, right. So where the water flows down, the storm water flows down, and we get flooding because a lot of debris gathers at those at the end of your block. So I officially am the guardian of the one on my block, one of the 2 at the corner of my block. So I'm super excited about that. All right. So before we start your questions, those individuals that are representing a neighborhood association, block association, community-based organization, nonprofit, if you would stand, please, and I just want you to introduce yourselves and your organization. Thank you.
Elfrida Shepherd. I'm the president of the First Precinct Council for Mayor Brad Scaraffa.
Rayshawn Harris from Shine Tumblers, and will soon be with JFK Recreation.
I'm Karina Sharif, and I run an adopt-a-lot community garden called Morning Glory Garden for Change. It's on Earl and Sherman Street.
My name is Siobhan Motain. I'm representing Hyde Park Gardens Cooperative Corporation. We have been part of this community for over 52 years. And I just would like to say something to the mayor. I truly appreciate this opportunity, and also the fact that you are giving those of us who have a vision for what we want our community to look like. Absolutely, I've had a vision for a long time, and I don't think I have to tell you what that has been. But I do appreciate the fact that now we have a city that is giving our residents and those of us in the community the opportunity to work with the city to see that vision realized. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Anthony Smith, Executive Director at Lincoln Park Coast Cultural District, and I dovetail on everything that Siobhan just said. We're excited to be here, and instead of working in our own silos, being able to work collectively together to really have a greater impact in the city of Newark.
Hi everyone, I'm Susan Austin, and I'm also with Lincoln Park Coast Cultural District.
Good afternoon. Dorian Johnson, President, Fairmount Heights Neighborhood Association, and we look forward to working with you always, as you know, Mayor. And we appreciate everything that the council is working with us also, so God bless all of you. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Rose. I'm the founder and CEO of Joy Just Over You. We were launched about a year ago. You can find our information on the website, joyjustoveryouth.org. I hope you'll join our organization. We look forward to getting big.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Diane Young.
of Newark Emergency Services for Families. We've been in the community for over 40 years. And working with the mayor's office, I want to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and his administration for allowing us to be here. And we want to be a part of the solution here in the city of Newark. Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Derek Lampley, representing Society Hill. And I'm happy to talk loud, right? Representing Society Hill, I am a board member, and I'm looking forward to working with people in unity to make city of Newark better.
Good morning. My name is Luther Roberson. I'm the president of Central Ward Little League Baseball. We're located at Hank Aaron Sports Complex. And Mayor, I just want to say, we're with you there. We're here to help me in the conversation before, as far as this is our city, and we want to be a part of the process of a new renaissance, the real renaissance that's coming that you bring forward. So we share your vision, and everybody look forward to working with you. And it's very important that we get every piece of information that Andrea sends to us out to our community and our constituents so they know what's going on in the city. A lot of people do not know what's going on. We have to make them aware of all the good and great things that are coming to our city. All right.
Hello, my name is Mr. Kirby, and I represent two organizations. I represent the Hope, Love, and Kindness Crisis Intervention Center, as well as Team Resurrection. Team Resurrection is my nonprofit where we feed the community every Sunday. We've been working over here on Pilgrim Village for some years now, and we look forward to continuing to work with the city like we've been doing.
Good morning. My name is Marisa Bell. I am the chairwoman of Women's Federation for World Peace. It's a big international organization, but we try to do sometimes small projects, service projects, and serve the community, and I live in the Central Ward.
Good morning, Terrence Maxton, and also thank you, Mayor, and to the team for being here today. Represent a few things that are important. Walk to Walk, which is pretty much an advocacy group that is about providing information that the government has to share with the community. So we're here to learn and take some notes today, so we appreciate this opportunity. But also North Dig, so I'm glad to see environmentalists in the house, and part of our role with that is adopting catch basins throughout the city of Newark, but specifically in the South Ward. We need folks to adopt one, and we need organizations to adopt one. So I appreciate that. And the last is the Leadership versus Legacy Civic Association, because, Mayor, I don't want to be one of those folks who run for office or are part of the political culture here, and that's important too, but who simply run for office 365 days a year or only show up when it's election time. So I'm here as one of those folks that's saying campaign time is over, it's governing time, and I appreciate this opportunity to partner with the city. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor. My name is Barbara King. I'm the president. Thank you. I've been living and working in this city for a long time. And as I said, I'm president of the Hobson Street, Goldsmith Avenue Block Association, trying to make, as the mayor talked about, one neighborhood by block better in terms of living the way all of us would like and deserve to live. Also, I'm the president of Africa Newark International, and what we've been trying to do is connect, not only just here in Newark, but internationally, sharing, just like they did with Mandela, that everybody came out and supported him. So we not only care about ourselves, we care about our brothers and sisters no matter where they are, and ultimately we care about humanity. And finally, I'm the president of the North African Commission, and that same idea is not just to make it better for ourselves or just our families or just our tribe, but make it better for everyone. And the only way we could do that is come together, all of us, and care for everyone. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mayor, for this opportunity. My name is Elizabeth McGrady. I am the Secretary of the Winona Lippman Gardens Tenant Association. I am also Vice President of United Parks as One here in the Central Ward, which encompasses Jesse Allen Park, Nat Turner Park, and Mildred Helms Park. I am also the president of the Newark University Area Chapter of the AARP.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Audrey Sykes. I'm here representing West Ward Victims Outreach under the umbrella of Newark Community Street Team, NCST. And today I'm surrounded by 6 strong, motivated young black men who are participants in our program. You guys right here. And we're working to prepare them to help us move the city forward.
Good morning. My name is Thaddeus Diggs. I'm here representing University Hospital. We've been here in the community, as you know, for many years, providing health services. So anything that you need to speak to me about or any concerns, I'd be happy to help you with. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Judith Favors. I'm representing the North Branch NAACP. I am an executive board member and also Mom Sad, Mothers of Murdered Sons and Daughters manager. Thank you for this opportunity.
I would be,
My name is Lauren Wells, and I'm a trustee of the Newark Public Library, and they are all over our city. And so I'm happy to be here and to be a part of this conversation to ensure that that vital public institution is serving our communities and our neighborhoods the way that we need them to.
Thank you, Dr. Wells. I would be remiss if I didn't allow 2 other individuals to introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Reverend Louise Scott Roundtree. I have the honor and privilege to serve as the manager of clergy affairs for Mayor Baraka. The first time in the history of the city of Newark that there's an active clergy affairs office that oversees things that are spiritual and holy and not always so glamorous, but we thank God for the opportunity to serve you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize for being late. My name is Eric Pennington. I'm the business administrator for the city of Newark. I thought it was important for me to get here today. I had some other things to do, but it was extraordinarily important to recognize the good work that's being done here and that the work that we expect the Newark People's Assembly to do, the business administrator's office, and the rest of the city will support those efforts in any way we possibly can. And thanks for coming out today.
Thanks so much. So, who has the first question? We'll pass the mic around. You've already heard from our leaders within City Hall and the agencies that are supported.
No, ladies first.
Luckily, the room is not so large that we may need to just use our outside cheerleader voices.
Wow. I'm Joanne Sims. I'm a resident at Wyoming Littman Central Ward. My question is there a representative here from housing or the Newark Housing Authority? No. Okay. My question is to Mr. Thomas, Lee Thomas.
Yes.
Sanitation. Okay, what is my question? Okay. Who is responsible for picking up the trash on the Newark housing properties? The bulk and the trash and the recycling, because we're having a problem with it.
Great question. Wyoming Littman, that's on 7th Avenue?
Yes, it is.
Your bulk you picked up by private vendor that's contacted with the Newark Housing Authority. Recycling and refuse removal. Currently, we are doing that, and we are in negotiations with the Newark Housing Authority about continuing those services. Why? Well, the reason why we're in negotiations with Newark Housing Authority for refuse removal is we spend a lot of time in those areas, and we spend a lot of time picking up commingled trash. So the negotiation that we're trying to have is to have Newark Housing Authority provide their own refuse collection and own recycling services. which Evergreen is the vendor that currently picks your bulk up inside those housing complex.
So what's happening is that for years, folks that are private vendors, private businesses or residents, who get tax abatements from the city, supposed to pick up their own trash, supposed to pick up their own stuff. The city obviously picks it up because we get complaints from residents, right? And it gets overwhelming. And so when we go pick those complaints up, it sets us back from the regular, trash that we have to normally pick up in everybody else's neighborhood. For example, if we go to, say you go to Ivy Hill Apartments, who we're not really supposed to pick up in Central, a new community, right? So we've been picking up, you go to new community, they have trash way up here, they have big green dumpsters of trash all the way up. So it takes our people to stand there and do that for a long period of time, and they get late to the houses and the other places in the city, in the Central Ward, that they're supposed to really pick that stuff up. So I think just recently we were able to pull away from new community with those negotiations and say, you really are supposed to be picking this up, put the burden on them to pick up their own trash and bulk. So we're in the same conversation with the Housing Authority now, because what happens is the Housing Authority does have townhouses. They can put their stuff out on the street, on the curb. Our guys pick it up because they get complaints. Get complaints from you, complain to me, I complain to him. He sends them out to pick it up, even though they're not really supposed to. We pick it up. So we have to figure out, because we're not trying to penalize the Housing Authority. You know what I'm saying? We want to work together, but they can't put the entire burden on the city, particularly since they're not helping us hire more people to pick up more trash, right? If they were going to do that, then it would be easier for us to do it, because then we can assign people just to pick up the Housing Authority properties if they gave us the money to do that. But and I know they're in a financial situation themselves, so we're trying to work with them. So we're not trying to just isolate them and leave them out there, but we have to come to some kind of agreement that's going to benefit all of us, right? And that's basically what the negotiations are about. And so when you see these issues, those are some of them. Some of the buildings that are in the city, they get a tax abatement, which means they don't pay full taxes. And because they don't pay full taxes, they don't enjoy the services that residents enjoy that do pay full taxes, right? And so at the end of the day, they have to contract out. It's like a private store. They have to contract out for their own garbage removal services, right? And so we're trying to get that all fixed around here.
So before you go to your next question, let me add on to what the mayor said, if I could. This forum is particularly important to address sanitation issues, because one of the things that's important for all of us to recognize, we're a partnership. The city has to work with the residents, and the residents have to work with the city. Whether you're in the Newark Housing Authority, or whether you're in a new community, or you're a private resident, the law is that you have to separate your trash. Your recyclables and your trash have to be separated. Plastic has to be separated, glass has to be separated, cardboard has to be separated. And when it's not separated, the Housing Authority or new community or whomever is responsible as your landlord has an obligation to make sure that those things are separated. And Mr. Thomas, who's doing a yeoman's job to get things done, has to work with the places where he dumps the trash and the recyclables to separate that. So it's an additional cost to the city. That additional cost to the city is passed on to you. Whether you are a renter, whether you're a homeowner, taxpayer, whether you're in the Newark Housing Authority, those costs are all ultimately passed on to you, and we want to make sure that we're all educated properly. We want to be educated from you as to what it is you need with respect to pick up. And so you make your calls to 4311 and you talk to Mr. Thomas. And we want to educate you as to what the expectation is and what the law is. So it's important that we have this dialogue, and we thank you for that question.
I wanted to really pose two questions to the mayor. Is there any insight you can provide in terms of the new superintendent? And Mariah is a school board member. I know you know that, Mayor, so I had to ask her too. But what's up with the remaining public schools? I like to call them the traditional schools, several ways appropriate to classify those. Particularly in the South Ward, we know that 10 closed and there's about, 6 or 7 that are remaining. should we be expecting? What can the community do anything? And I guess some of the cleanup issues around those buildings that are abandoned. But the most important question I wanted to ask was about if you can provide some insight and just a little content around both circumstances. There is a ballot question in November, whether or not Newark will have an appointed board or an elected board. And there's talk online, I know you hear about that, and there's also talk in the community. I just want an opportunity to hear from you, just on both sides of those fences, and perhaps where you stand on that.
So the superintendent has no intention, and I can speak for him because I just spoke to him, has no intention of closing any more schools. So we are as a matter of fact, he's trying to open up some additional schools. He's trying to acquire the properties back from the housing authority that was given to the housing authority by the school system before he came. Some of those properties he's not going to be able to get back because they were already sold. And because they were already sold, there's nothing he can do about it. There may be about 4 or 5 properties remaining that he can get back. One of them in the Clinton Hill section. I'm trying to train myself not to use the boards. The Clinton Hill section is the Bergen Street School, Old William H. Brown Academy, but the city is we're trying to get that from them. So hopefully once that's done, because we're trying to build a police training center there, police and fire training center right there. So that's where that is. So the superintendent, is forward thinking in my mind in terms of trying to make sure the school system is stable, right? Which is one of the reasons why the enrollment process is never going to be the same. I know that people were saying that we need to change the enrollment process. Well, the schools in the community don't exist anymore. So it's difficult to go back to an old enrollment process of a neighborhood school enrollment when you don't have a neighborhood school. So you may think that that's something good for your neighborhood because you have a neighborhood school. But if I live in a neighborhood where there's no neighborhood school anymore, I'm still in a dilemma. So we have to figure that out, and I support that. I support his efforts around that, and I support the fact that he's trying to get those schools back. But you have to keep in mind that's going to cost money. So all of these things, that's why these meetings are important, because we're talking about what we imagine and what we want to build, but we have to be practical about it, right? And I've learned that as the mayor, there's a lot of things that you want to do when you're on the steps of City Hall that you have to figure out how to do when you get inside the City Hall. Right? And that's a whole different thing, right? And so these meetings help us become practical about how to actually make the things happen, the process, how to get it done. It's one thing to fuss about it, there's another thing to get it to take place. And that's what we're trying to do. The second piece of it is the decision about the schools is on you guys. That's in November. I'm just one person that's going to vote, but it's a November ballot. It's a part of the process. The mayor didn't make it up. I know it's people out here saying I made up the voting thing. That is not true. The law is the law. The state law says that when you get control of the schools back, you have to automatically put a referendum on the ballot and make the people decide whether they want a type 1 or type 2 school district. People even call the superintendent and says, can you make, because type 1 is the mayoral appointment. And so he said, could you make type 1 the elected school and not the mayoral appointment? Because type 1 looks like, and he can't change any of that because that's the state law. It precedes all of us. So it means that there's 2 choices that you have right now. You have to vote either for an elected school board or for an appointed school board. God knows I don't want any more problems. If you have an elected school board, it is fine with me. You won't see me outside fighting, debating, arguing with people about an appointed school board. I have enough influence on the school board as it is, on the school system as it is. I'm a resident of this city. My voice is loud. I'm not shy. I don't have any trouble with telling people what I want, believe, and feel. So if it's an elected school board, I'm going to still be involved. So there's no way to keep the mayor out of it. So I support you guys in elected school board 100%.
Mr. Mayor, I'm glad they asked that question. Oh, I'm so sorry.
We'll be right back to you.
Hello, I have 3 questions that I think is of growing concern in the community. The first one is assisting for the drug abuse scenario in the communities. I don't know if we're trying to do any outreach or any type of educational type scenario to help people that are on drugs and how we combat them when they are loitering in the community. Another question is homelessness. What initiative are we taking besides the Homelessness Coalition? What are we doing to try to combat that? I think that's a growing scenario as well. Pest control. I see big rats now, big ones. I understand that we're doing underground type pest control, but how we know in the community that it's actually being done? Is there a flag put up saying that this has been pest controlled? So those are my three questions. Basically, I think it's a growing concern.
Okay, I'm going to answer your question involving pest control. So we have a vermin control unit within our division, and we're in the community based on a complaint basis. We are able to do block by block, house by house assessments and decide where the pest control is emanating from, the rats are emanating from, whether it be vacant lots, whether it be vacant houses, whether it be even your own properties. So what we do when we go out, we do we like to do it in two phases. First of all, we want to provide education to the community. So the team will go out, we'll give out our information on a door-by-door basis. That's how you know we're there, because we're going to give you something. And then in follow-up to that, we're going to visit you, we're going to speak to you and your neighbors about what the rat situation is and bait appropriately. I want to be clear that we can't bait everyone's property, because if you have animals on your property, that may become a liability for us. And that's a part of the education that we provide to you. So if there's a specific address that you're, in reference to, like I said earlier, you can come see me directly. I have information here for you. I'll give you my phone number, and I'll set up a team to come out and see you.
But what about the underground part you talking about? I never heard that.
I have to, that's my first time hearing that myself.
I sent an email to my councilwoman, Central Ward, and I was responded by they stated that they are doing underground pest control. In a particular area near JFK, there's a lot of rat burrows. And I inquired about it via email, and that was a response that there are pest control being done underneath. There's poison put underneath the ground.
Our data is that we're going to bait those burrows that you're referring to. Inside. Yeah, we go inside the burrow, either with a dust or either with a capsule of bait.
So how we know you did that?
Well, we would know with the education that we provide. I guarantee you, you call me, we're going to get it done for you. That's without question.
I need more answers.
Right, so which is why we do it in two phases. Multifaceted, actually. First, we want to provide education to that community that you're referring to, whatever the block is. So we're not only going to come to you, we're going to do the surrounding block. We like to do our baiting and our education on a square block basis, which is something that was prescribed by the FDA of how to respond to vermin control. Because you're absolutely right. If we're bait here, we don't want to chase them anywhere. Another thing I want to mention is that, and I'm glad my brother Khalif is here, what we want to do is we want to work in tandem. When they do that garbage cleanup, we want to come right back in back of them and do the immediate baiting, because that's the only way it's going to be effective.
So I want to respond to him, and then I know some questions. So there's a few things. One, we also you understand that's why we have laws about putting the garbage out. That's a part of it, like business and when you talk, I want us to, like I'm trying to train myself. We should train ourselves to start talking about very specifically what we're saying, right? Where we are talking about, who we talking about, because usually we get up and say the community, and that means me and my neighbors, right? And so we really should say that and say exactly what we're talking about so we can address it. Because when we talk in broad terms like that, then it does not help us. It doesn't help the situation, because when we leave here, we don't even know where to go or what's going on, because we talk about it in a huge way. We have to be very specific about who and what we're talking about. And so that plus the construction that's going on and the other kind of things is going to upset, because you know there's a whole neighborhood and community, a city that's under the city of rats who lived here before us, right? And the more we build and the more you leave garbage out, they're going to come up from down there and be a part of what we're doing up here. So the best we can do is mitigate it. So, you know, I don't like to, I'm not a liar, and I'm being very transparent. We never going to get rid of the rats. We need to mitigate the situation so they're not in control of our lives, right? So we can drive them back where they at, and we can stay where we at. And that's the purpose of, you know, what pest control does, right? That's important. The other piece I think you talked about in terms of the homelessness piece. So let me just address that, right? Because at the end of the day, it's become like a political football for folks who like to play football. But at the end of the day, so the city has had homelessness since I was a baby, by the way, probably before that. But the city has an obligation, and so we have a whole thing that we're doing. I'm gonna tell you, the city has an obligation, 2 obligations by law. One is when there's extreme cold weather, to open up a cold blue station. The other one, when there's extreme hot weather, to open up a station so people can go inside and then outside, you know, in the heat. Unfortunately, because you know, Donald Trump doesn't know what he's talking about, that there is you know, climate change. And this winter went all the way through to the spring, right? We had no spring. We had winter all the way through to the spring. We went right from winter to summer, right? I mean, it was cold, extreme cold and extreme storm. We had to keep our shelter open longer and longer and longer. We used to be in JFK. Remember we used to have the shelter in JFK? We used to do it in JFK. We can't keep using JFK because we got programs in JFK. We got kids playing, seniors coming in, we got a pool there. We had to find another place to do that, and we chose 224 to get it done. Then it got extremely hot, and we did the same thing. The city paid almost $2 million to keep the shelter open to one provider, the Dolnick sisters. One provider, who of course is making a lot of money, to have the folks stay in that shelter. What we have done now is we just put out an RFP, we just finished it, so we are expanding the services. Instead of taking the money and putting the shelter up ourselves, there are at least 20, 30 service providers in the city who do sheltering, and frankly, they do it better than us. And so what we're going to do is distribute the money to these shelters so they can expand and expand their clientele. So they can take in more people, have more beds, have more services, so they can begin to do work for us. We supply the resources, the technical support, the county stuff, to make sure they're able to do that. We're in the process of going through that now. When that's done, they'll be able to take more folks in, and it'll take the burden off of the city to have a shelter open, which, you know, lawfully we really can't have a shelter open 24 hours, 12 months a year. To us, it becomes like a welfare hotel, right? And the city is not supposed to be in that business, right? And so we don't have these public discussions and arguments. We just try to take care of the problem. But that's really where we are. But what the city is trying to do, which is what we are responsible for, is to make sure people have a pathway out of homelessness. Yes. Right. We shouldn't be out, the city shouldn't be out in the street feeding homeless people. That's not what we're supposed to do. There are organizations that do that. We should support the organizations that are doing that, right? We're not in the business of, you know, giving people clothes. There are organizations that do that. We support the organizations that do that, right? What the city does, and what we have done, and we've been doing it well, which is we provide vouchers for folks. We get them welfare, we get them employment. We set up temporary jobs for them. We have transitional housing, and we get ready to begin thinking about a container transitional housing that was invented and developed by the students at Central High School, right? So we're getting ready to begin focusing on how to expand that, to expand our transitional housing program in the city. So what we have done is interfered, because a lot of people have succumbed to a lot of pressure. We've interfered in a space where service providers have been doing the work all this time. What we really should have done is gave them the resources so they could do the work that we should have supported them to do, which we're going to do now, by the way, so they can do it better than us, and we focus on the things that we know how to do. Like the people that are feeding homeless people can't get them transitional housing, but we can. They can't get them a voucher. We can do that. And that's what we need to be focused on, and not the other piece. So that's the way it's going to change as we go forward.
I'm the representative to Little League Baseball. Questions for Mr. Scott and one for Mr. Council. Mr. Scott, we're in charge as far as all the major construction projects that's going on in the city of Newark. It's a great thing that the mayor is doing, but the thing that's going to happen is that the people don't know about a lot of projects. You know, I've been working on Hank Aaron for the last 25 years as far as getting the building with bathrooms and running extra program out of that. I'm thankful for the mayor. We have conversations with Mr. Council as far as getting that project up and running, so please everybody give a round of applause. The other thing, we have a timetable for that, for Hank Aaron, and also any kind of project we do have, make sure Andrea gets it, so she can get it to us, and we can tell the citizens, say, listen, this is what we're doing, this is what the mayor is doing, this is what the council is doing, and everybody be on board as far as know what's going on in our community.
Okay. I'm glad you asked this question. Director Council and I, we've been talking and we've been working hand in hand on these projects. Just so you understand, the capital projects that we do are usually in support of other departments. Department of Engineering is not out here just going and doing what they want to do. We do things because we're supporting other departments. So the Hank Aaron Field project that we're working on is in support of Recreation and Cultural Affairs. So they're leading the project, but in terms of the technical support and bringing it to construction, we handle those things. But in terms of the timetable, I just spoke to Director Thomas about the basketball court. That's going to be done this year. In terms of the baseball field, we just finished the design plan so that we can get all of the work done. We're putting out the bid in the next couple of weeks. We anticipate starting construction probably, if not before the end of the year, definitely in the spring. But we understand that your concern is that you want to have the field done and complete. Well, we want to have it done and complete for the spring, for the baseball season. So that's our target, that's our goal, we're working towards that. So, I mean, any other question with regard to that?
Yeah,
Director Council.
and Mr. Council, I used to be the chairman of all the leagues in Newark, and you well know that. And at that time, the city also helped fund our programs. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was money that was useful for us as far as buying equipment and providing the kids with different opportunities as far as trips. So I was hoping that if there's some kind of way whereas we could partner, I'm going to try to put those guys back together and girls back together to partner with the city as far as getting some funding, and also as far as just doing more things for our young people as far as recreation and partnering with the recreation department.
Always feel free to reach out and have conversations. We always have the conversations. As you know, the city used to run the City Little League World Series, which is now called the Mayor's Baseball Classic, which is still running. And so we help to support that initiative and that effort. The City Little League Committee, they still meet, they still organize themselves, and so we still want all of the organizations to be active. We'll support in other ways that we can. And if those opportunities are always there, we're out supporting and making sure that things are happening in the community as it relates to recreational opportunities. So we're always here.
I just want to, before the next question go on, back to the sanitation and how you make complaints and things. I don't know how many of you guys know about the 4311 call center operating line, where you will call to actually make a complaint about maybe recycling not being picked up or code enforcement, the heat's not on. But those are the places, there's a call center that we have that you can call. It's 973-733-4311. You call, you make your complaint about whatever general resources that you're not getting or whatever. Someone will give you a confirmation number and they should be responded to in 24 to 48 hours. And what happens is that we on the receiving end send that complaint to the appropriate departments. So they'll get it immediately and then they can respond accordingly. And it also helps us keep track on what the complaints are. So if it's a rodent problem or if it's a sanitation or recycle or code enforcement issue, we get that, we can track it through the data. So it's important for you guys to also know that's a resource for you. And to use it, yes.
I have another question in terms of education. One, I first want to say to you, Mayor, in all sincerity, thank you for the progress that's being made in the city of Newark now. And the fact that you are calling me here, I think is serious. And the fact that you're calling us together tells us that you really want everybody to be a part of this and to help make a difference. But one of the questions, and I had wished that the superintendent of schools was here, even though he probably tired of me talking to him about it, but, and it's priorities. I know it's a lot of priorities, how we live and all that, but we deserve what everybody else deserves. It's a law that was passed by Bill Payne some time ago, the Amistad bill. And I served on the board for 3 terms, and I think the new business administrator can attest to that. We talked about Black history being taught in the Newark Public Schools, not just to say it, but to see who are we. For our students, it would make such a big difference, and I know I'm speaking to the choir, but what I want to know is, and I've been working with professors in different colleges in terms of sample booklets that can teach to the teachers the introduction to Black history. And those things are so necessary, not only to inspire us, our students, to look at ourselves and see ourselves in a positive vein in books, but those things are important to see what did our culture and how we live and what do we value. So I was just hoping, and I was so glad that you were saying the influence and that you have with the school district, and I'm hoping that we can, well, maybe you already have the answer in terms of when will they actually make the Amistad bill, which is a law, a part of the North Public School District. And it's a law for the whole state of New Jersey. But if we can begin with the city of Newark, and like I said, I'm working with some professors, and I would just like to help push that in any way we can with the least expense that it would be with the city of Newark. So once again, I don't know if it's happening already or you have a time frame when it can happen. Thank you.
Well, I mean, we need the superintendent here to answer that question, so I don't know what the extent of what the Amistad legislation is. And it is law, and people are doing it across the state, but you need like somebody from the superintendent's office to really answer that question. Yeah, because I wouldn't know.
Mr. Mayor, this question's for you. Can you give us a quick update of what's going on at University Hospital as far as the pediatric center?
Sure, this is a very quick answer that based on the concerns that have been raised over the last several weeks, that's not actually happening, so that's being reevaluated. The transfer, she asked about the pediatrics. So that dealt with one specific aspect of care, which was inpatient, so that is off the table.
I want to speak to that though, but I want us to be, because you know, for years what happens to us in our community, people come and their concerns become greater than our concerns, right? And so we find ourselves fighting for people, and we should be, right? And they get what they want, we still in the same situation, right? And so our job is to make sure that all of these struggles are interconnected. And people don't, when I go to those meetings, I say my number one concern is that the city residents get quality health care services. Bottom line. All the other stuff is good. I support that, so forth and so on. The reality is our health care services in this city have not been good. Period. Everywhere. We don't have access to primary care physicians. We don't have a sufficient number of clinics. The emergency rooms are too big and too crowded, and God knows if you could go to another emergency room, you would not be over at Bergen Street, and you would not be on Lyons Avenue. There's a fact. You're not going there because the emergency rooms are too crowded, they're filthy, there's crazy in there, it's understaffed. And so the city has to demand the state government put more money in University Hospital, right? To expand University Hospital, to change those units that have been like that for the last 40, 50 years, to build on that, to have a world-class educational hospital facility in this region, trauma care for residents of this community. Because everybody knows when you get sick, the first thing in your mind is not University Hospital. You taking whatever you can get to St. Barnabas or some other place. Now, come on, y'all, tell the truth. Let's just be factual. Unless you get hurt and you ain't got nowhere else to go, that's where you're going. Other than that, you and grandma, y'all in the car and be going up the mountainside. But we should not have to do that. And so while we argue and fight with these people to keep pediatrics, look, I'm for that. We should keep it. We want the nurses to stay. We don't want to fire doctors. But this, you know, we need to attach to that. We want to keep the nurses. We want some of the nurses to live in Newark. We want to keep the doctors. We want a program where doctors are being bred here in the city of Newark. I'm down with keeping the hospital. Let's expand it and grow it, right? At the same time. And also build clinics in our neighborhood so we don't have to go to the emergency room to get checked for a cold. We go to a clinic right there, right here, right here, right here. We got to force that issue and not wait till these people come, all of us on the band right here, yeah. They get what they want. We back in the same rotten situation we was in before they started. We wait for another problem to take place so we can get on that bandwagon.
One question. Mr. Mayor, with the growing population of the disabled growing here in the city, how soon can we get a disabled committee or commission up? A disabled committee or commission running it here up in the city?
We definitely, I mean, there are at least two people that I know who come to City Hall regularly that try to, get us to force around those issues. So I don't think it's a problem. You just have to put the ordinance in, get the council to vote on it, and get some folks that are willing to sit on it. I think it's a great idea.
I just would like to go back to sanitation, Mr. Thomas. The mayor did make a comment with regards to those properties that are tax abated and the fact that, the city is not, even though historically and in the past they have been picking up garbage. And I just would like to know, how was that communicated to the Housing Authority and New Community Corporation relative to those services, even though they were done in the past, that it was not the city's obligation? Because I have somewhat of a concern with regards to Hyde Park Gardens, whether or not we fall in the category of the Housing Authority as well as New Community Corporation, because the service has been intermittent, especially with regards to recyclables. It has been a complete nightmare. Now, we did have one of your superintendents to come out to our site because we have not had recyclable pickups, I would say, on a routine basis for now about 3 months. And so we do need to get some clarity on whether or not this is going to be a service that the city is providing, or whether or not it is going to be the responsibility of Hyde Park Gardens. And I think that kind of clean and clear kind of communication makes it clear for everyone as to what each entity's responsibilities are going to be, especially being that for the last 50 some odd years, the city has assumed that responsibility.
Good morning. With respect to Hyde Park Gardens, the recycling issue that came about, we got a vendor in here, the old vendor that we had in certain places, like we had to educate the new vendor on Hyde Park Gardens, and then we started running into issues where they couldn't get educated. So that's when I said, the superintendent over there, to speak with security, to make sure when these trucks come into these properties, these gated communities, that they are allowed access to grab this stuff. Sometimes they go there, they're not allowed to get access. With regards to tax-related properties, it's a process of that. What we do is we grab the ordinance, we grab the financial agreement that protects the property, protects the owner times, and then we inform the owners. We inform the owner that we just don't cut services off, we give them a limited time to help get his own private home, and we give some instances, we help them find them. So it will be a smooth transition, it won't be hurtful to the residents to see guys just out there.
And I am sure that our tax abatement agreement does include that the city is still responsible for those services, because I recall when that agreement was negotiated. Just with regards to just the routine and the timeliness, because there's a set schedule, and you know, it would be good if that routine schedule can be maintained, that we know that every Tuesday or Thursday of the week that recycling is taking place. And relative to access to the property, our security is 24/7, and they are aware of those services. So, you know, if there's ever a situation where, and I'll speak with the director of our security department to make sure that that is not an impediment, because that should not be. There's always should be access to vendors as well as to, you know, entities such as public service, the city of Newark, and anyone else that has to gain property for those type of services. Just one other issue, and it's related to a comment that my dear friend from Society Hill raised, and this is for the gentleman with regards to the rodent. I think what would be helpful, whenever there's any chemical application, and this is just in terms of what I've seen routinely, is it some way that when those type of services are rendered in the community that there can be some flagging? Because, you know, there's those little flags that you just put in the ground so that people know that some kind of chemical has been applied. Because I know even with our landscaper, when they're applying any kind of chemicals to the lawns, they're required to put some kind of a signal that is there. That way the community knows that that has taken place.
I think what you're referring to is a larger type of extermination where it involves very highly toxic chemicals. Well, we don't really use that. We use a granular bait blocks. And similar to what the other gentleman was referring to about putting the bait underneath the ground, what a tactic that we use so that we don't run into those measures is good. And now it's making sense to me about whoever said underneath the ground. What they mean is we're baiting the actual burrows. So nothing is ever present for someone to see. What we are concerned with, as I mentioned before, is with the animals. So that's a conversation that the vermin control specialist, when he comes to whatever block or house that he has to deal with, has a conversation with that house owner. Keep your pets inside. Don't let your pets go out this area as it relates to a flagging situation. As you mentioned, we don't use those type of chemicals that will be necessary for that further under the EPA. But it's an educational process. And you know, what troubles me is I want our vermin control specialists to provide that education. So I don't want to hear a complainant come to my office and say, hey, I don't know they baited. That's kind of what we're getting at, right? We want to know that they baited. So we want to have a conversation with you so you know what we're doing. And then we're going to provide education to how you keep your property clean, and then how we can be of assistance to you to provide baiting to eliminate the rodents the best way we can.
Thank you.
Before we have the last 3 questions, I just want to make a few quick announcements. ShopRite is the sponsor of the delicious breakfast, so please make sure you support our local ShopRite on Springfield Avenue, ShopRite Newark. Also, if your question, again, is not able to be asked or answered as you see fit, please fill out a constituent intake form and get that back to one of the staff members, and we'll be sure to get back to you with an answer, hopefully this week. And there was a police question, so after the 3 questions on the floor, whomever had a police question can ask it, and then we'll do the closing. Thank you. So I know, okay, so the gentleman, okay, so these are the 3. The young lady in the red sweater, then the pink, and then the gentleman in the navy. Okay, well, we'll see how we're going with time.
Okay, all right. So my question is about security on my block. There's drug activity in Pennsylvania Avenue, right off of Lincoln Park, all right? And there was just a shooting there last week, you know, and the drug activity on this block is so bad. And these people who are coming to sell drugs on the block don't even live there. Some of them do, but some of them don't. I've seen them actually get out of an Uber and start their job for the day, you know. And they're there 24/7, outside my window, talking, yelling, partying, drinking, leaving empty bottles all over the place, you know. And I know people say, you know, call the police, but, you know, I've done that in the past, and the police have actually said, yeah, the lady here said, you know, she called in a complaint, you know, and I don't want to do that. I have kids, you know, and I know all the kids in the neighborhood, and I don't want any issues to happen, you know. And it's not just that they're sitting on people's cars. People have expensive cars, and they're getting scratches and dents and all kinds of stuff. And, you know, the police have come to the block, they're walking through the block, they drive through the block, but the people come right back, and I really don't know how we're going to clean up that block.
So, I'll let you guys respond to that. So the police are not supposed to say your name when they come to the they're not supposed to do that. So, and if that's happening, you should make another kind of complaint about that, because that's not procedurally correct. That's number 1. So if that is happening to you, you need to make a specific instance of that issue. You call down to the precinct, or call 6000, or call Internal Affairs, or call the mayor's office, and tell us exactly what you're doing so we can respond to that. So that should not happen at all. In terms of the patrolling and the police presence down there, I'll let the police answer that. But the only way you really fix this community is we have to get the community folks together, right? And so we held this meeting this way today because it was the first one. And I want these meetings to be different from the rest of the meetings. So what we're gonna do is, you know, after we do the announcements of who's here, who's whatever, divide people up in their respective neighborhoods, right? Let the people in the neighborhoods talk about their issues that they have in that neighborhood. And allow a couple of representatives from that discussion to say what the questions are from that neighborhood, that we can address your neighborhood concerns, so we can get past people saying the community, and we get past people doing their individual thing, or this little individual thing, or grandstanding. We want concrete neighborhood things. So we need people from that neighborhood at these meetings, right? And we need to empower them, and it may be a few things we can do. It might be we need to put the lights on. We might need to brighten the lights in the neighborhood. It might mean we need to change, you know, what the police routes are in that community, right? It may be a couple of landlords that these guys. So there's collective ways we can deal with it that we've done before. Maybe a few buildings we need to shut down.
They're shutting them down. Right. They're doing a lot of that. The building right next is Newark Housing Authority, or it's a.
Well, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they just came last week. They're all up in there for that one day. You know, and then they leave, and then people come right back.
I know they do. And the problem is we just have to be consistent. We have to keep doing it. We have to be consistent. And we know that because we show up one day, it's not going to solve the problem. It's a protracted problem, and we have to continue to be out there as a group. When we first hit the Clinton Avenue area, behind the front of what you're talking about, those 2 buildings, you know, we started with the one building, the store owner who was there, who wasn't supposed to be in there. people in the building who was paying rent to somebody else, who was keeping the money, who didn't really own the building. You got folk, I mean, this is the stuff that was going on. You got the building that's owned by the Foxes in the back that the city has an issue with, that we sold, we made them sell to somebody. So we are working, and those things right there take time. But, you know, police interdiction in that community, we can talk about that. But we need community representation or neighborhood block representation so we can begin talking about how do we organize the residents to partner with us to respond in smart ways and not just responding for the sake of responding and say we did something, right? So we need to be able to respond in a smart way. And the only way we know if it's a smart way is if you help us to understand what is actually occurring so that we can do something that actually has an impact on that neighborhood, not just that we going down there to show up down there, right? We may need to go down there on a specific day at a specific time. And the only way we know that is from you guys, right? We may need to go in the mornings and not in the evenings, or in the evenings and not in the morning. Yeah. One second, man. 1 second.
They did have some type of a meeting, like a block association meeting with a police community service person.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the information till way later. All right, so it's like the information is not getting out. If they were having a block meeting, I would have been there to say, okay, how are we going to do this? You know, because the guys are not violent. You know, they are just conducting business. You know,
The wrong business.
The wrong business. You know, and how can we get that information to our little neighborhoods when we're having a block associating meeting? How are we going to do that?
You're absolutely correct. And we have been struggling trying to get basic information out. You know, the information that people have, they know about WIC, they know about the health department. We get 30, 40, 50,000 people that come in, right? They know those things. But then they'll say there's no recreation and there's an event going on right next to their house. And I've seen that. And so one is the responsibility of the residents, but two is our responsibility to make a connection so that people understand what's happening. And the problem is we talk at each other as opposed to with each other. And that's why we're trying to have these meetings. So you have a people's assembly, so organizations can come to a meeting where the city officials are present and communicate about what's going on and not just complain. We take your complaints, we upset, you part your ways, or you get an opportunity to come to a meeting and get something off your chest. That's not productive. I know there's some things that people want to get off their chest. They come to these meetings to do that. They feel good when they get home because they got it off their chest. They even put it on Facebook that they got it off their chest. But guess what? The problem is still there the next day. So they didn't do anything. The difference is we want to actually get something done. That's it. And we want to get it done. Yeah. You want to respond? Yes.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Mayor, community leaders. This incident that happened to you, that is unacceptable. If you call the police to report a crime or to report any kind of incident, no one should be, no officer should be telling anybody, oh yeah, we got a call from this lady here on the second floor saying, that you're selling drugs or whatever. No one should be saying that. I'm Sergeant Dart, North Police. First precinct here on the corner. That is unacceptable, and whenever you have an incident like that, ma'am, or anybody else, if you have an incident of something like that happen, you need to report that. Obviously that's a training issue. You need to report that you request a supervisor to come to your house. You contact our Office of Professional Standards, which is the Internal Affairs. That's 973-733-6171. All right, if you have an incident of something like that, or any kind of police misconduct or anything like that, you definitely need to report that. That's something that's unacceptable, and we don't do those kind of things. Someone had a police question?
Earlier, but we have these three other questions. So
no, sir. That's actually. I'm sorry. Also, that area where you're at, ma'am, the Pennsylvania and Lincoln Park, that's run by that's covered by the 5th precinct, which is right down the street. That phone number is 973-733-6070. All All right, Captain Dos Santos is the captain there. They have a community service officer. I don't have that person's name, but if you call that number, they can, you can leave a message and they'll have that community service officer give you a call. They can address whatever concerns that you have. All right, ma'am?
Okay. That's why, I'm gonna make sure he responds, but that's why these community things are important, the neighborhoods, because that neighborhood is in a central ward, but the South District Police Station responds to that neighborhood, right? And so that's why the neighborhoods are important, because these guys couldn't even respond to that over there, those questions. We need the 5th precinct over here to respond to that.
All right, I will give them a call myself today and, address, I was at this meeting and area resident addressed a concern about narcotics being sold in that area. And, but you can follow it up also, like I say, call in the number and see if the community service officer can give you a call back and you can address the specifics concerned with that officer. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon. So my question is directed to Mr. Muhammad. So my question to you is, as a North resident, as a lifelong North resident, I know that you guys have really prided yourselves on finding employment for North residents. And I speak up for myself, you guys have really told us that we need to now go down to North 2020 as far as employment. So my question to you is, what are you guys doing to help residents like myself that's been down there, that's filled out several, probably more than 20 applications and have had no follow-up? But unfortunately, someone like myself, that you have a hidden gem right here in Newark that's not being utilized. What are you guys doing to help people like myself, that needs employment but haven't had any follow-up, in the future,
Right, so right now, to be honest with you, we are revamping 2020. And to be honest, you don't just have to go through those 20 to the job. You can actually go utilize them. So we're actually closing down 1008. We're moving to 990 because we're preparing to move actually to University Avenue to a bigger location in the old Bank of America facility because we need more space. And so you can go down to 990 for services for job employment too. You don't have to go to NORC 2020. We actually will reserve in NORC 2020 for NORC companies and for people that had degrees that were looking for jobs within NORC companies. It was supposed to be a specialized service. But to be honest with you, there's some things in NORC 2020. There's no sense of me telling you that, that's not a problem. And so we're trying to revamp the whole NORC 2020 system right now. Because right now we're working with, we created a system right now that has 3 different silos that I don't think we need to have all those different silos to get to my connection. We need to create a much more direct link to you and the company. I think what we did was create a little bit more bureaucracy, to be honest with you, to get through the company. And I want to do away with that layer of bureaucracy and get a more direct service to the company and for us to actually advocate. Now here's the truth too, I want to be clear, right? And I tell clients this all the time when they come to office, right? You have to play the number game when it comes to jobs. We can't guarantee you any company that's going to hire you. You have to apply and you have to interview. But you may apply to multiple companies before you get that interview. Because we cannot guarantee it. There's no sense of us pretending as if we can guarantee any company to hire you. They're going to hire the people that they interview who they believe are qualified for the job. And so what we're saying, we're revamping we're going to revamp NORC 2020. It's really, should be geared towards more individuals that's more college educated, that's looking to go inside these corporations. We generally get 90% of our folks that come to our offices don't have college degrees, that come to our lieutenant offices. So we deal with other companies that have those low-hanging fruit jobs that we're able to capture. But the NORC 2020 does have to be redone. It does have to have much more direct access to the company. It does for us to be more like headhunters and advocates for you to get the job or be interviewed for the job.
So I'm glad that you said that.
Yeah.
So I am one of those candidates and one of those residents in Newark that is really highly qualified.
Yeah.
I have an associate's, a double bachelor's, a master's, and completed my third year PhD. And I've been working in criminal justice, law enforcement, community advocacy, youth special engagement for the last 17 years, and I haven't gotten anything back. And I went to 90 Broad Street, and I went to NORC 2020, and haven't had any follow-up, no phone calls, no anything. So what is that?
You went down there for orientation, you filled out a computer?
I did. I actually sat with one of your the coordinators in the office.
Okay. And so what Rockmont, part of what Rockmont is saying is correct, that so we have all these hubs that are responsible as a mid-person between the company. And I think that has to do with our feeling, which was wrong, about our own residents. We think that we have to prepare them 8,000 times before they get to the company. And that part is right. So we have to throw that out. But the companies have been hiring Newark residents without us, which is unfortunate, right? Because we've been pushing them and saying Newark 2020, they provide reports to the mayor's office of how many Newarkers they've hired versus the previous years, and everybody's numbers is going up. In fact, there are stories of people, unfortunately, who emailed me and said, you know, Mayor, I want to thank you for Newark 2020, but I didn't get the job through Newark 2020, but I know if it was in Newark 2020, they wouldn't have been focusing on Newark residents. I, in fact, went to Newark 2020 and had the same situation. This is a real story. We had the same situation that you're talking about, you know, all of the bureaucracy. So I decided, because I saw the job on the Newark 2020 thing, I applied for it on my own. Right, and because I applied for it on my own, I got an interview, went to the interview, and got the job. So I'm just thanking you for having the job on the site that I wouldn't even known about, but Newark 2020 didn't help me, right? So that's something that we have to work out internally, how to get that fixed, so that there's a direct relationship between what we have in these corporations, but they are more cognizant of the fact that they have to hire Newark employees or Newark residents in order to have a good relationship with the city. So people are doing that. And I don't want to tell you not to use Newark 2020 to go around it. We are going to get those things worked out, pull all that second, third, fourth tier stuff out of it, so it's easier for you to connect right to the company. But if you go to the companies, you're probably more likely today to get a job straight from them than through our process. That's just a fact. Until we get it and fix it right.
Excuse me, can I add something real quickly? There's a young lady here representing the YMCA of the Newark vicinity. Miss Mabel Elmore is in the back. She would like for you to contact her in reference to getting the job.
How you doing? My name is Joseph Walker, and I was just wondering, like in reference to what the lady was saying back here, and I'm not trying to come against you, but like she was saying, you calling the cops on these kids selling drugs. I used to be one of these kids, and going to jail for selling drugs is no way out after that. Like, I feel like it should be some type of like a stab or somebody like, say like Khalid. I grew up with Khalid. Pat used to be my basketball coach. Like, Khalid's the perfect person to come out in these communities and try to talk to these kids and get these kids to just get this lady a little bit more respect, even if they not, don't sit on these people's cars. Try to make some type of community outreach to help these kids when they're getting out of these prisons and getting out of these places, because everybody always say go to one stop, and then you get to one stop, and then you go down there, and they don't even want to let you in the building if you ain't got no ID. And then you try to go get your ID, and then they say, oh, you gotta have 7 points to get your ID. So now I can't go to one stop, but I can talk to Khalid. You understand what I'm saying? I just want some type of help for the people that's been in my situation, because that's the only reason I came here today, because they say community. And to be honest with you, all these changes y'all making, it's beautiful, but there ain't no change gonna be made if you don't get him, me, none of us to make that change with y'all. We gonna still be on the corner.
So, you say stuff sometimes, make it worse. Told the lady she didn't have a degree. I don't know. You set it up, brother. I was waiting for her to do that. I didn't know she didn't have a degree. I was responding the same way. Worse than the other. But I mean, so there's a few things that are happening, right? So we have Our employment van goes to the block directly. We go right to the corner with the van and pick guys up on the block and put them in the bus to fill out applications and do positive recruitment. We go to all of the communities. In fact, we go to the worst ones with the van, with the face on it. We go there. We not only that, we have the Newark Community Street Team. Newark Community Street Team, that's and there's a representative of the Newark Community Street Team that goes out to these communities and talks and tries to create opportunities for young people to pull them out of these conditions and so forth and so on, right? We have these men's meetings that we have every month. We just had it a couple of days ago, that we bring in guys from the community into the neighborhood to get contracts, to start development, to do all these things. But it's a hard process. When I talk to them, I say, look, you know, you put a lot of effort and work into what you're doing now. The problem is you believe that the same effort that you put into hustling, that you don't have to put into the other side. Nobody is just because you walk in there and they discourage you, it's not a reason for you not to come back and say, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. If you go to that block at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, and you determine to stay out there all night long, knowing what's going on. This lady said they're catching an Uber there to do that type of stuff, and stay there all day and do that. You have to have the same determination when it comes to trying to turn your life around or get a job. If I come to City Hall and they say, look, I'm not, and we say this at the men's meetings, I'm not, I can't help you today. Well, who can help me today? And if they can't help you today, you come back tomorrow. And there's some people that got jobs who stood outside on Green Street, right? And I come outside of that building, they're on Green Street all the time. Like, I need that sanitation job back. I need this, I need that. Big bro, I need some help, right? Now, those are people who I know are serious. Like when I go to the block, we do occupy the block, and we go out here, people say, I need a job. And you know what I tell them? The job is not on this block. Because if the job was on this block, it'd be other people on this block working. If you want a job, then you got to come to where the jobs are. Like if you stand on this block all day long, then and you saying where the jobs is, then you ain't gonna know there. That's why we bringing the bus there, because we can't get you to come down there. And if you come down there once or twice and you get discouraged, then you use that as an opportunity to never show up again, because in your mind, you didn't think it was going to work anyway. And you're more comfortable with what you was doing in the first place. And so you do need somebody to mentor you and pull you along and say, get up, man, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. It's unfortunate, but you need that. That's why we have Newark Community Street Team. We got a program called Newark Street Academy, where we pay people $10 an hour, 18 to 24, who have no job and no high school diploma, to go get their high school diploma and engage back into a career or the workforce. We pay these people today $10 an hour, right now.
Don't get me wrong. I always, like, even before you was the mayor, I know who you, like, I went to Wheatwood. Like, I know who you were, but I'm just saying you're not in that position no more. And I just feel like getting somebody else to do what you used to do. Because,
I agree with that.
You feel what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
Because, honestly, it's messed up out here, man. I walk to the corner store and I talk to these kids, man. All they want to do is kill people. That's all they want to do. Like, and y'all want to say, oh, the youth need somebody to teach them what to do, because they really don't know. They ignorant. Like the common sense things that we learned from our parents, they don't know, and we think they know it, so we give them the benefit of the doubt, but they really don't know.
I don't think they know it. Like, I know they know what prescription drugs is, but I don't think they know none of the other stuff. Which is, all I'm telling you is the programs we have. And so the purpose of this is to steer them towards those programs. So if you know a cat that's out there who do not have a job, who does not have a high school diploma, you know a program called the Street Academy that's run across the street from Technology High School and the Marion Bolden Center, where they can give you $10 an hour to go there and get your GED or connect you back to a program. And $10 an hour is not a lot of money, but it's enough to get you some food, to get you to the program. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I want you to know. Or the Newark Community Street Team. But one thing you did say that was correct. There's a lot of folks out here who need to put their money where their mouth is, right? So that is, they got to get out on this block and do the type of work. They want the position, they just don't want the power. And they don't want to get out here and do the work, right? They, you know, and they got to get out here and organize these guys and pull them together, do the kind of things we was doing back in the days, and somebody's got to do it in the present sense. I agree with that. Totally.
Doing bowling every Wednesday. We went to the Kent Watershed, like he said. I didn't even know that was still open. And then I say I got a street doctor. I never heard of that. And I'm in the streets every day. I never heard of none of these things. We need to let these kids know that this stuff is out here.
Then that's your job. We're gonna let you do it. What neighborhood you live in? What neighborhood you from? What neighborhood you in? You in the, so when we had the South, you graduated, when you come to the South, we do the neighborhood things. We can, make sure that you got all the information and all those guys in your neighborhood know what's going on. And bring some of them to the meeting, right? They can come in here. This is not like, you gotta be from a certain place at a certain time. You come right in here, and if you have a concern, I think it's positive for that. If there's a neighborhood, when the neighborhoods get together in the meetings, that those guys from that neighborhood go to those meetings and begin talking about what their issues are. And we address them with the city and partner with them to make it happen. Like we don't have all the answers. All we can do is what we think is right. And continue to do that. We need community input to let us know if what we're doing is having impact, which is why these meetings are important, because like I told the lady back there, we need to make sure that what we're doing is smart. We don't want to just be doing stuff, then go back and say we did it, and we happy that we did it because we did do something. We need to make sure what we're doing is smart. And the only way we know that is to begin to engage with the residents of that neighborhood to let us know this was good, this wasn't. This was positive, this wasn't. You have to do it this way, that way, so we can fine tune it and address the concerns properly. That's why it was important for the young lady to talk about 2020. We're not up here like saying everything we're doing is 100% perfect. We need somebody to say, look, I went through 2020 and it didn't work. And so it helps us go back and fix it so it does work. And that's the purpose of us having these kind of discussions with one another. So we're not talking at each other, we're not angry with each other, because we want the same thing. Yes. We want the same thing. And if we want the same thing, we should be working for the same thing. Right? That's what we want. I don't want no kids on the corner hustling.
Question before last, right here in the pink, and then just one moment, right here in the pink.
Okay, well then I'll have a sidebar with the mayor after.
Sure, if he will allow.
I got you.
Right here in the pink.
Okay, you said we specify my neighborhood, West Kenny Street.
There you go.
Okay. The stop signs that are put up there, I think they're horrendous to be put right there where you got these other, I got a big mouth, where you got those schools that are so congested and so messed up. We got a ticket going down there. These signs just got up there, stop signs on West Kenny right by equipment. We got a ticket right there. But we sat there for at least a half an hour and watched all those cars not make a full stop. They just kept going through. But just so happy we get a ticket. So I'm like, it's okay. Don't laugh, because you're funny. But I think if they're going to put a stop sign somewhere, put it where there's the congestion. Put it where the children are not getting ran over, or the parents that are being double parked and triple parked, and people can't get their cars through there. That's where those signs need to be at. Number 2, I want to let everybody know, First Precinct Council has a meeting the last Tuesday of every month. And if you want to know certain things that's going on in your community, you can come to that meeting, and you're more than welcome. We have it here at the clubhouse. And if you want to come to the meeting, we'll be more than welcome to have you there.
That's what the police say. The police are at that.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to know anything, you'll find out everything that's going on.
Excuse me, what's your title in the police council?
I'm president of the First Precinct Council. But you're more than welcome to come.
What time are the meetings?
Oh, excuse me. It's at 6 o'clock here at the clubhouse.
Every
last Tuesday of the month.
Okay, so with regard to your question or issue with the stop signs on West Kenny, you're talking about West Kenny equipment.
West Kenny equipment.
Yeah, so that area, we've had complaints about accidents, kids getting hit by cars and things like that. So we do a traffic study. We don't just arbitrarily put a stop sign up anywhere. There's certain rules and regulations that require us to do those things before we put a stop sign up. So, I feel for you that you did get a ticket. Unfortunately, that has nothing to do with engineering. That's an enforcement issue with the police department. But in terms of having that stop sign there, it was put up because we did do a study. We're trying to limit the number of incidents that happen there.
Understandable, but why would you have a stop sign where there's no street? You only got one street going this way. The other one is not a street.
You're talking about at the corner where JFK is?
Yeah, it's not a street, but they got stop signs on both of them. What's stopping on this side?
Excuse me, if I may interject,
That's because they're coming out that race center.
excuse me for being late when I was notified. The reason why the four-way stop sign is because the three-way stop sign, get my good side, is because when kids are being picked up and dropped off at Quitman Avenue School, cars become double parked. We issue summonses and when warranted, but sometimes parents are in such a hurry that they'll stop and all that happens. So for the safety of the kids, who not every kid will remember to look both ways when crossing the street. It was in the interest of the city and everybody involved for the kids' safety to have a four-way stop sign. That way we can have a little bit more traffic control in that area.
Let me tell you something. The ambulance on Bourbon Street couldn't get by. I don't know whether it was emergency or what, but they couldn't get by. They sat there with their sirens because they were triple parked and they couldn't move.
People dropping their kids off.
Yeah, people dropping their kids off. Stop being lazy and park your car somewhere else and walk your child to where they need to go. Because it makes it too much congestion.
Some of the people got to go to work.
I work.
No, I get it.
But that's, to me, it's just unfair that you have to do that.
Maybe we should talk to the principal. What's going on?
Last question and then closing.
Okay, mine is a traffic question as well. So it takes me 30 minutes from Bloomfield and Clifton Avenue to get to Irvine Turner and West Kenny every given morning. So can you do a traffic study on that? Also on Market and First, traffic. It takes me 30 minutes, where it takes me 15 minutes from Montclair to Bloomfield and Clifton. Also on First Avenue and Market in the evening, the traffic is disgusting. First Street, right? Right, okay. In the morning, you have traffic cops out there, but in the evening, they block the box. Traffic, you can't cross the street. I spent 20 minutes at a light just trying to get across First Avenue. So can you also take a look into that, or have traffic cops out there in the evening? That'll be great, that'll be helpful. And another question is, the Queen of Angels property. Can you tell me who bought that property over there? And what are they gonna do with it?
I don't know at this point, it needs my PhD in that. I can't remember. I should remember, but I can't.
Was the resident informed about it?
Well, in order for them to develop anything, it has to be a sign that says proposed development on this site, so forth and so on. So they may not have even gone through the planning board or any of that stuff yet. So only before they have got their approval, they probably just purchased the property and have not went through the development stage. When they go through the development stage, that's when you see the sign on it that says this property is open for public comment. That's when that phase takes place. So I don't even know where they actually stay.
Okay.
What happened? So, regarding your about the traffic, there's a lot of congestion because of, whether it be some construction going on, or just the amount of, people coming to the city, all the different development that's taking place. So what I'm doing is I'm writing down the locations. You mentioned from Bloomfield Avenue going,
Coming down to West Kenny, because the lights, it's like, one is green, then the next one turns red, and then the next one is green. So it's like if they all work in accordance, I think traffic would flow much better, but it takes me 30 minutes just to get home from Clifton and Bloomfield Avenue to West Kenny. And no matter where I go, I still, can't get home.
Yeah, so we do have the ability, we control the timing on the lights, so we can make that adjustment. So I will have somebody start working on that immediately on Monday. That is the first thing I do, to get them to start to study that, to see if we can get the lights to work in sequence, so we don't have that.
And what about First Street and Market Street? First Street.
So you talk about First Street, you talk about people that's trying to get onto 280. See, that's a big issue because there's so many people that are leaving at those, those high volume times.
But in the morning, you have traffic cops out there that makes the traffic go very quickly. But in the evening, it's like.
We make that suggestion. We make that suggestion. Those are good problems to have, though, And I say that because, it's true. I say that because more people are coming to our city. More people are engaged in the economic development and growth of this community. People are doing stuff in our town, which brings revenue and all these other things. And so it doesn't mean that we have to have those problems. We just have to work them out. But, like a bunch of people go to New York, and a bunch of people go to Jersey City, a bunch of people go back and forth. They have to work those issues out. These are issues for us that we have to begin addressing, right? As the city grows, like there was nobody living downtown. We have 11,000 units that are in the pipeline for downtown, which means we're going to have to do something with the police. We're going to have to change policing or add another precinct and that means more people moving around our city. And that creates other kinds of problems, which creates congestion, parking issues, other kind of things that we're going to have to address that we didn't really think about in the last 20 years. Traffic patterns, people moving in and out of the city. We're going to have to address that. So which is a very valid question, but it speaks to the fact that the city is growing, and we're going to have to figure those things out. It does. That's exactly what it means.
And again, I'm not negating that. I'm just asking that the traffic cops be out there in the evening. If they're out there in the morning, why can't they be out there in the evening to have the flow of traffic going? That's all I'm asking.
No, that's what he said. He's taking that down and figuring that out.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be here for a minute, so if people want to ask me questions on the side.
Sure, so to not hold everybody up for your afternoon's events, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to encourage you I want to make sure that everybody filled out the registration form so you'll be included in the database for Newark People's Assembly. As it was alluded to earlier, I already send out a lot of information. So now with these duties, it is my job, it is now my role to make sure I expand that information or the group of which I disseminate the information to. So I'll be working directly with these individuals that you see in the front, getting that information out to the community. The mayor did say that he will stay a couple minutes later if anybody needs a sidebar. If anybody does need to leave or wants to stay, you're more than welcome. But I didn't really want to hold anybody past 12:30. Again, I'd like to thank ShopRite for donating the refreshments this morning. And thank you so much for coming. There are four subsequent meetings that are going on in the other wards, and then we'll be breaking out into neighborhood sessions. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
So first I just want to, acknowledge that this was a great session and show appreciation for the mayor for showing leadership on today and providing an opportunity for residents. And I really like the unity message that was promoted. Having residents come from all around the city, even though we're here in the Central Ward for today, and really talk about common themes in terms of not just issues, but solutions. And so GI Reformer was glad to see the environmental leadership of the city here because it is important to adopt catch spaces. That's something that was talked about today. And then also just talking about walk to walk. And I think that this particular section helps bridge the gap with what walk to walk is all about. And walk to walk is about going out to residents and asking them what their concerns are, what their issues are, and how we can effectively help them navigate and communicate with the leadership of the city so that, to the mayor's point, it doesn't become about shouting and about just getting something off of your chest, but actually getting something done. So thank you.
Hey, my name is Anthony James. I'm the Chief of Staff for the Law Department here in Newark City, Newark. It was amazing to be a part of this event here with Mayor Ras Baraka, and the people of Newark. I'm from Newark, born and raised from the South Ward, and so just to interact and hear the people's comments and concerns, addressing it, bring it to the table, and interact and let them know what we're doing, what we're trying to do in the city, and just wondering and getting feedback from them if it actually is working. The people are great, the initiative is great, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So, kind of, yeah, my man. I appreciate it.
Bro, thank you. Thank
Yeah, I think this is important, that the people assembly is important. I think bringing the community together, finding solutions to problems instead of just complaining about problems is what the cities need. As the mayor has stated, we want to make sure that we come up with ideas. We want to make sure that the communities come together so that we can solve some of the issues that's within the community. And you do that by bringing people together. And this is the first start of that. I hope it continues. I'll be at every one of the meetings for the People's Assembly. If I'm not there, some of my staff will be there, so we can make sure that we get engaged with the residents, make sure that we get the services needed to the communities that you live in. Peace.